What in the 20s is going
in the
on?
20s?
Think about
The 20s, baby.
Plenty. What in the 20s is going here for my 20s, baby? This is the 20s.
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Zamam Kize, and this is What's in the 20s, a podcast where you listen to me grow through its baby. Everyone, I would like to remind you to please get your tickets for the 25th of October. We're going to be at Victoria Yards for a live podcasting show in collaboration with Spotify. So excited. I feel like we are counting down the weeks, it's about like 2 weeks until that time, and I really cannot wait, I'm bringing the girls back, if you guys have been watching, this podcast or listening and stuff, you know that my 21-year friendship with Khunzi and Nze, I had to run them back up, and I think it's going to be so amazing to have them join, on the lineup and stuff, and just, have a little key, I think that'll be amazing part of the message that we're trying to share with you and stuff. I think it's going to be really impactful. I think that we're going to be leaving the space feeling very seen first and foremost. And yeah, I always want to make sure that I'm listening to you guys. I'm listening to what you're going through so that I can speak to you specifically, and I think that what's going to happen on the 25th of October is going to do just that. And I would really love to have you there. So yeah, please get your tickets. I'll leave the link in the description box. You can also find it at my social media, at zay.mkize, and yeah, let's get boogie with it. On this episode, I'm going to be speaking about falling behind. It's so ridiculous to me every time people say that, like, the 20s are like the best time of your life. Like, it's the best, and this and that. It's when you're supposed to be making all these mistakes, having fun, doing this, whatever. Because honestly, I find the 20s to be the most stressful time, for me so far. I think it is the most confusing I've ever felt. It has been the most tumultuous, all these adult emotions and feelings and processing and comprehension and stuff, and like trying to make sense of things, trying to, be mature about things while still feeling so childlike, I guess, in circumstances, like still feeling so ill-equipped or unprepared for things and stuff. And I think I've been feeling like I've been falling behind in life. Like I'm so far. I know that when we're young, we all have these expectations, right, of how our lives are going to look. And thinking that by this time, I'm pretty sure my friends and I, when we were in first year, second year, we kept saying by 26, we need to have already like had a fiance and all of that, like know what's going on with our life, a job, a place to stay, all of that kind of stuff. Like there was this, I don't know, there was just this thing that made it seem like, of course, that's what's going to happen at this time, at this stage and stuff, especially when we have parents who did so much at all these different like ages and stuff. I think my mom had my brother when I think she was like 21, got married when she was 24, if I'm correct, had me at 25. Like I'm 26 right now, and there's no marriage that I can see happening like in the very soon future and all of that kind of stuff, a place to live and all of that kind of stuff. Like it's so crazy for me to even think about that, because my life looks so different from what hers did, or my dad, my dad was already owning things. Like it's so crazy when you think about like the things that our parents were able to do and achieve and all of that kind of stuff, and our grandparents and all of that. And, I'm 26 years old now, and I'm nowhere near like half the things I thought, would happen, especially, when you graduate. I don't know why there's this like promise, there's this idea that you're just going to get a job. You're just going to find a place to live and this and that. I'm still freelancing as it is, month to month looks so different for me. Finding a job has not been easy, and that's why I decided to just start like working for myself and all of that, because like applying made me so depressed, application after application after application. Like I was actually losing my mind. And I know that a lot of us feel like that. Like, how many more rejection letters can you take? And it's so tough because you come out of varsity, you've graduated, like you're being told like, there's this future now that's going to be granted to you because of that, that you're going to have access to rooms and spaces and do things, that are just so like, when you're in university, you dream so big because, that's kind of like what they sell you, that because you now have this degree, these things are now available to you, And when I tell you none of that was my reality, and I think it's like that for a lot of people in this country, that you'll graduate and there are a lot of people still sitting at home with degrees, qualified people, unable to find anything. And it doesn't matter if you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, that is your reality right now, unfortunately. And it's so painful to think about. It's frustrating and it's heartbreaking, I think that sometimes I feel like there's this train, that comes every day to collect people. And for some reason, like I never have the ticket to get on it. Like I feel like every time I look around and I see another person, buying a home or whatever it is, another person getting married, another person having a child, like it feels like people are getting their lives together, starting a business and all the rest. It's just, I don't know, I feel like I constantly feel like people really know what they're doing with their lives. And I know that might not be true, but that's what it feels like, right? That's what it seems like, like people really have a handle on things. Like it feels like everybody's in on this inside joke that I, for some reason, just keep missing. And it's really heartbreaking, guys. Like I think that when you feel so left behind and so out of things and stuff, and people having tax numbers and qualifying to pay, people being able to just go on holiday and vacations and take these trips and all of that kind of stuff, like it makes you feel so frustrated with where you're at. It makes you feel like you're losing at this game over and over. And that's when, like, I feel like life feels like such a crazy game, especially when you're in your 20s. At least let me speak from my experience, like right now, because of watching your age mates doing more, watching your age mates achieving more, succeeding at more. And they also have a way of making it look so easy. Like I know we don't know what people's realities are. We don't know everything it took for them to be at where they're at or doing what they, you know what I'm saying? And so I will never invalidate somebody else's experience, and why they have the things that they do. I'm speaking about the fact that like sometimes you can watch something and it feels like, why is it so painful and tumultuous and all of that kind of stuff when it comes to you trying to do something, you trying to get anyway, get your foot in the door or whatever it is. And I think I've just been feeling so I don't even know if frustrated is the word. Like kind of disappointed in myself, and I hate that I would feel those things because I know everything that I do for myself. I know everything that I'm trying, everything that I'm, you know what I'm saying. But it's like I still can't help but feel disappointment. And I think that there are reasons why we feel like we're falling behind. I think there are reasons why we feel like we're in this rat race that we can never really, get to the end of. I mean, to begin, like there's all this like societal structure, right? The way that capitalism is kind of like engraved in our society and stuff like that. Like it makes it really impossible to be happy if you can't afford things. It makes it really heartbreaking and all the rest. If you're at certain spaces and stuff like that and you're unable to get this or do this or whatever it is, you need resources, you need money, you need to be able to to say that I have this, I can do this, I have access to this and stuff like that. And the lack of that, unfortunately, will always make you feel like, quote unquote, a loser, will always make you feel like you're not good enough, inadequate, and all the rest. Will always make you feel like there's just this thing that you can't get to, less than. It'll make you feel small. And it's the way that even when you go to a certain event, whatever it is, and the way that they'll design things, that there's a VIP and a VVIP and all these different access points, whatever, like you can, like the feeling of you just made it sometimes doesn't even feel enough because there are people who are getting access to more things and better things and whatever it is. And it makes you feel like, oh, why can't I have that? Like, why am I not there? And all of that. And that's the way that our society kind of like builds itself, is that the classism of it all, right? And the different stages and levels or whatever it is. What I'm trying to talk to you about is that like sometimes I don't even feel like I'm meeting the minimum requirements, to feel like I'm a successful adult. Sometimes I feel like I'm not even close there. I still rely on my parents heavily, to be able to get through things and, and do things and stuff like that. And it makes me feel like, oh my gosh, am I a failure? Like, and it's so sad. It's so sad because I know I'm not the only one that feels like this. I know I'm not the only one that, recognizes this really debilitating feeling inside of us that just makes us feel like, I thought I would be so far by now. I thought I would have so much by now. I thought I'd be doing so much by now. I think that comparison also, like, it's really difficult not to compare. It's really because we look at our peers as a measure, right, of where we're supposed to be. Because you want to keep also like the standard of what's going on and stuff. Now, you don't want to be the person that feels like you're bringing down the group average. You don't want to be the person that feels like, you're watching everybody else go further and do things and whatever it is, and you're just like watching from the sidelines and stuff. You want to feel like you're doing it together. And so it's really difficult to not compare. It's so, I know people tell you all the time, don't compare, but it's so tough to do, right? Especially when we live in such a digital age and social media and all the stuff where it's constantly in our faces what people are doing. It's constantly in our faces what people are achieving and having for themselves and stuff like that. And it's like, how do you not look back at yourself and wonder like, oh, am I doing enough and all the rest? I think social media has made the pressure so intoxicating, it's so, because that's the thing. It's like, as I say to you, you have the knowledge that you shouldn't compare, but your perception, your eyes are constantly seeing people have these things and do these things and able to have the access to these spaces and all the rest. And so that's what is you're constantly feeding your mind with. When I took a social media break for 3 years, that was one of the best things I could have done for myself because I had no desire. Like, it was almost, I had no, I just didn't feel like I was comparing myself to anyone because I wasn't constantly seeing what people were having and doing, and all, like, it wasn't in my face all the time. It wasn't like I wasn't feeding my brain that. And when I came back on social media, it feels like that's what my brain is constantly eating, like it's constantly feasting and on all of this content, right? And people younger than me, I'm talking way, way younger than me, doing doing things that a lot of our parents still haven't been able to do yet for themselves. And, and it's just, it's a cycle. It's such a cycle of feeling bad about yourself, feeling like, as I said, like worthless or less than or inadequate and all of that kind of stuff. And then you downplay your own efforts. You downplay your own, just all the times you've actually put in work to try for something. You know what I'm saying? You make it seem like you're not trying hard enough, like you're not doing enough, you're not. And that time, as I'm saying, there are people who really are qualified. There are people who really are giving their best and stuff. So even to say things like you're not working hard enough, I don't think it's fair. Sometimes it really boils down to luck and opportunity. Some people really just have that kind of luck to be meeting the right people and in the right spaces and all of that kind of stuff. And not everybody has that. And I think that why we also struggle with feeling behind is that it's not fulfilling. I feel like sometimes we will be sitting in life, with ourselves in life and feeling like so unfulfilled with where we're at and what we have and what we're doing. And because of that, it makes us feel like we're behind. It makes us feel like there's this more that we see for ourselves that for some reason we just can't get it. We just can't have it. Oh, I can't explain to you what that feeling is like, that defeating feeling. Like you so badly have this ambition and it's so hard to talk about this and not get emotional. Yeah, because have you ever wanted something so bad and no matter what you do to get it, no matter how many hours, no matter, it still keeps feeling like not now, it still keeps feeling like not this way, not like this, not like, and you don't know, how many more things you need to try, how much more you need to give and all of that. I think that the problem with all of this, right, and feeling this way and social media also is that I feel like if you are easy to influence, right, then you're easy to control. And by that, I mean, again, when I speak about the fact that we don't know what somebody went through to get what they have or do what they do and share, you know what I'm saying? People can control us so easily if we can be manipulated and, and influenced so easy to believe that everything that everybody does is earnest. Everything that everybody does is because of their hard work and integrity and all of that kind of stuff. We have no idea, what somebody is doing to live the life that they do. And I think that if we are influenced, because like we live in a society, right, that's fully built on perception right now, like our media is in everything. It's a huge way of being able to control a society, right? And so if you feel like you are pressured into having something because somebody else has it, right? I always say like we don't know what we want. We know what we think other people want for us. And so because somebody may say, oh, this is the coolest thing, you need to have this right now, we think I need to get it, I need to be there, I need to do this thing, I need to, we feel the strong conviction inside of us to be a part of the people, the know-how, the this and that, whatever, because that's what we're being told constantly is, what needs to happen and stuff. And I think that when we don't have all the information, when we don't have all the answers, we become so easy to, be manipulated into things, into getting things, into having things, into, things that we don't even necessarily need or want or whatever it is. And I'm trying to constantly teach myself that like, just because I may sometimes feel envious or jealousy or, all these natural human emotions towards things and people or whatever it is, I don't need to dwell on it because the truth is I don't know everything. The truth is I actually, and that's something Gugu was also speaking about on our episode together. She was like, I know nothing is what she says, and I think that that's such an important thing to keep thinking and telling yourself, like, I know nothing. I know I don't know why, and I don't need to know also. It's not important for me to know all the reasons why somebody has this or is able to do that or whatever it is, because the truth is we really don't have the same journeys. We really are not all going to the same place. And so sometimes we structure our lives in a way that like we all arrive at this, same destination, all of that. But the truth is, first and foremost, there are multiple different routes to get to that destination. There are multiple different paths that you can take, multiple decisions you need to make to get there, people you meet and all of that. There's so much that goes on that it won't be the same for you as it was for the next person, and also that we might not be all trying to arrive at the same place, at the same destination and all of that. Like, just because somebody may want a huge house with this and that, whatever, that truly might not be what you want. I would always say that for me personally, I've never really, I don't really believe in having like just so much in excess, like 8 cars and 3 mansions and this and that, etc., etc. Like I've never really felt the appeal to that, but I know that there's some people who do. There are lots of people who do, and I'm happy for them. But I'm really grateful that I was able to decide for myself that I don't really see why I would need so much and want so much, whatever it is. And so those aren't my goals. When I was young and small, I thought like, oh my gosh, we need to have a lot of this, we need to own this, we need to do that. And I just started thinking about things like, not everybody is an entrepreneur. We keep telling everyone you need to start being a business person and all of that kind of stuff. It's the only way you need to do business. But I don't think that everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. I know that like I don't really know if that was something that like necessarily connected with me and stuff. And I used to feel bad. I used to feel strange, especially coming from a family that was big on that and stuff. I wanted to perform. Like I wanted to write some poems, write some scripts and stuff, perform on the stage and everything. And that's the thing. It's like, it's so crazy. We keep telling people what you need to be doing. This is how you're going to succeed. This is how you're going to be happy. This is how, but you really need to decide for yourself, like, what is going to make you happy? What is going to make you fulfilled? Like that, thing that you thought when you were so young was so important to you. Do you still value it the same way? Is it that important to you still, or have you just told yourself it is because, that's what you were so used to believing for so long? And I think being able to decide for yourself, what it is, you stop chasing everybody else's goals. You stop chasing everybody else's dreams because your life ends up becoming that, right? The problem with always comparing and looking on social media and all of that kind of stuff is that nothing is ever enough for us. Nothing will ever be enough for us because there will always be more to have, more to obtain, more to achieve, and all of that kind of stuff. And so you live your life chasing forever, unable to look at what you have now, unable to appreciate who you have now, what's around you and all of that. And I think that it's a huge problem. Like, you need to be able to sit with yourself and really have a lot of gratitude, for what is, and work towards, just a life that would make you as the individual like happy. And it doesn't have to be what you thought, it doesn't have to be what you thought was everything. And I get it because I still feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have my own place. I don't have this. I don't have, all of that kind of stuff. And it sucks. And it's all of that, but I don't live a terrible life. When I have to give myself that perspective, like, I'm so fortunate that I can afford, certain things. I'm so fortunate that God has blessed me with, a parent that's able to help me out when I need that and all of that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. I think that's when I really take a step back and realize I do not live a terrible life. I'm not far behind from who, far behind from what? There are people who look at what I have and think they're far behind. And I don't even feel like I have a lot. I feel like I have so little, and I feel like, as I said, I feel like I'm losing in this life game and all the rest. But I feel like there's somebody looking at me thinking, sure, if I had what Zama had, if I was able to do what Zama could do and afford, all of that. And I think having a bit of perspective really helps shape things for you, and realize that the life you have isn't terrible. It could be worse, We could be sitting in the middle of an active war right now, and things being taken from us, lost from, all of that. And right now, if you're able to sit and listen to a podcast, that is a privilege, and I think that, in no way am I trying to minimize the feelings that we may have and all of that and our desire to want more and stuff. But I think we have to give ourselves grace. The climate right now is not easy all over the world, and I think we have to be able to give ourselves a sense of like patience, kindness, tenderness, care. It's not easy for a lot of people. It's not just you feeling this. It's not just you struggling through this and stuff, the world really is tough. Being alive is tough. Doing this life thing is so complicated. It's so big. There's so much going on. We have to be able to award ourselves a sense of kindness and grace and stuff, and just be able to recognize all that we're doing to make it through the day, all that we're doing to like try, all that we're doing to actually pursue something. It really does count for a lot, And I think that if we're able to just look at where we are and appreciate and recognize that you actually are where you're supposed to be, because you're not meant to be running somebody else's race. You're not meant, and it's okay if it takes you more time than it did somebody else. Like, whose timeline are we running on, And I think try to make a good life for yourself in this present moment rather than something that you're constantly working towards. Like, try to get out of living for the future, living for one day, living for when this happens, when whatever happens, because life also is so short. Things come by and pass so quickly. The relationships we have with people just, can be so fickle. Life can be so fickle. And I think that we sometimes miss sight on so many great things in life because we're so focused on everything we don't have. We're so focused on everything that we haven't been able to do and achieve and stuff like that. Like, there really is a lot of good going on. And I think that if we're able to just zoom our focus and attention on it, we'll be able to appreciate it more. And I think just find a way to enjoy, But yeah, that's what I wanted to speak about today, honestly. Like, I know that the 20s have been so rough. I know that it has been so confusing. Like, I have friends who have children. I have friends who are moving in. I have friends who have businesses. I have friends, like, they're all doing different things. But right now, there's somebody in their 30s who was married in their 20s getting a divorce. Somebody in their 40s doing that. Somebody in their 50s, 40, going back to school and all the rest. There's somebody, like, there is no formula, what you think that somebody has right now, they might change their mind later in life. They might want something different. You might want something different. And so that's why comparison is so, it's, it doesn't matter, because things work out so differently for so many people at different points, at different stages, and there's somebody in their 40s, 50s looking at you thinking, I wish I was able to do that, to live the life that you're having right now in your 20s, to have the freedom you have, to have the space that you have. And I think that if we're able to just focus on our own lane, we might be fine. We might actually we might be okay. As always, I'm sending my love. Goodbye.
What in the 20s is going on?
In the 20s,
Think about
yeah.
the 20s.
What
baby.
in the 20s?
Plenty. What in the 20s is
I am
going
here
on?
for my
20s, baby. This is the 20s.